while saying almost nothing about what Trump wants.
Of course, we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and we need licenses for quick production. We need our nation to be calm, that we are secure.
For some, this is going to sound harsh, but in a negotiation, you need to recognize that the other person does not want the things you do. Behaving like they care about what you need, even if you need it badly, isn't going to help you get it. Worse, emphasizing how bad your situation is, how desperate your need is, can sabotage your position. And unfortunately, that is what Zelensky did, highlighting that without America, there may be literally no other option for him because Europe wouldn't participate.
Without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need. And of course, I'm sure that the United States president will not stop support. This is crucial for us.
Later, when things blew up, Trump echoed that desperation that Zelensky showed him right back to him, emphasizing that he had no choice without a U.S. deal.
I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States, and your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards.
So, do not beg to get your needs met by the other person. Instead, listen for what the other side wants and show them that they can get that more effectively by working with you. Now, I'm not a foreign policy whiz, but in this case, it might be something like showing Trump how a harder line with Russia, a demilitarized zone, weaponry, and NATO troops on the ground could get him the money in the form of a minerals deal and the reputation as a great and powerful peacemaker. That would be speaking to what Trump has already said he wants while getting Zelensky what he needs without having to beg for it. Now, of course, it's not all about their perspective, which brings us to the third point. You need to employ the friendly no. This means you reveal your disagreements without budging, but also without forcing their resolution. Now, this piece causes a lot of confusion. Some people think that you need to disagree loudly, make a display of strength so that you don't get pushed around. Others avoid disagreements and play nice to keep things flowing and friendly. The truth is, you should disagree firmly when you can hit these 3 points. You make your position clear, you don't ask the other side to agree with your reasoning, and you do it in a friendly manner. Zelensky does that beautifully here.
Our friends, and they are our very supportive partners, they really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. No.
Don't argue with me. No. Okay.
But pushing back in other ways is doomed to be totally ineffective. This occurs when you're not just revealing where you disagree, but asking the other person to agree with your point of view of how and why you arrived there. Zelensky falls into this ineffective negotiating habit as he repeatedly points out that Russia invaded, seemingly hoping that Trump will agree with him that they're wrong for doing it.
Think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine.
I think that was a perfect, almost straight perfect Brad Racer.
Needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president.
The president speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop.
This can be a tough pill to swallow, but in many negotiations, you will have to accept that the other party is going to walk away with a different story than you. This occurred as I negotiated with my co-founder to buy out Charisma on Command. We disagreed as to who had contributed, the likely future, and basically we were living in different stories. What I learned from that was that trying to get him to agree to my story, or vice versa, derailed things entirely. But when we allowed one another to have different stories and focused instead on how to move forward, we quickly got to a deal that worked for both of us. So do not try to change the other side's story. Focus instead on what you can exchange and what you can enforce. For Zelensky, this could mean dropping that attempt to get Trump to blame Putin or feel bad about the Ukrainian prisoners, which is all story, and instead focusing exclusively on getting him to take concrete steps to protect Ukraine and return those prisoners. Now, we get to the part where things break down. Vance talks about diplomacy with Russia, and Zelensky has an issue with his suggesting that diplomacy is even a viable route.
The path to peace And the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy.
We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come
I
into the
can't.
office and try to litigate this
I
in front of
can't.
the American media.
This was a
That's a
huge
decent one,
mistake
I
on
think.
Zelensky's part, because not only is he trying to get Vance to agree with his point of view, which for the record, I totally get his desire to do that, he's wasting his
Pretty good. I mean, obviously that's world record, but I think that's hard to beat. I think my Mario was decent. I mean, it's -3. I think I just didn't fuck up there. Maybe like a 50-second Mario. And then Rad Racer, of course, frame perfect. And then Tetris, almost perfect. So, yeah, I would say pretty good. Pretty good.